It's so good to see you. I am so glad that you agreed to keynote Startup Runway for our 10th showcase. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. And I'm just, I guess I would like to say that I'm also honored that you invited me. So it means a lot.
Well, I'm a huge fan of you and your journey as an entrepreneur and founder. It's incredibly impressive. I love the long form interview that NPR recently did with you. But for our focus right here for Startup Runway, our audience is the finalists, and finalists are pre-seed, first earliest revenue entrepreneurs. They have a lot of doubt, and they're being told by, the big bad world all the right things to do. And you can't do all the right things.
Yeah.
So thanks for being willing to focus in a little bit on how you've learned what the right things are. And I'd love to start with, your first launch of Calendly. So you launched it, and did you feel that it was the right product?
I did. I did. Let me share a little bit more why I do. So, you referenced the NPR interview. The fact is, by the time I started Calendly, I started many businesses before that. Now they all went sideways, but I learned a lot from them. But one of the things I really learned from those other businesses was that it's not enough to want to start a business. Like that's not a strong enough reason to start a business. Um, the strong reason to start a business is that you're passionate about a problem and that you want to and that you're dedicated to devoting a significant part of your life really to solving that problem. Like, are you that passionate about that problem? And for me, I was that passionate about scheduling. The reason was one, it was a problem that I struggled with myself, right? It's actually what led me to Calendly. I wasn't looking, I'd had all those failures. I was taking a sabbatical from starting businesses. And so at the time, I decided that I wasn't going to start a business to start a business. I would only start a business if there was a problem that I felt like I had a unique vantage point on solving. So I say all that to say that when I started Calendly, I spent 6 months looking for all the reasons not to do it. And in spending those 6 months and finding all the reasons not to do it, what I ended up learning was that it just gave me a really, really clear idea of exactly what the gaps were in the market and what this product, which eventually was named Calendly, needed to do to be successful. So for all those reasons, I had a lot of confidence that I had that the product that we were building at the time was really going to solve a huge problem for people. So that was one part leading up to the decision. Once we launched the product, that was validated very quickly. What happened was because of the virality, because of the viral nature of the product, the initial users, which again, we hadn't really advertised in any way, we hadn't really promoted the product in any way, they caught wind of the product, right? So the initial users were actually users from the dev shop that built Calendly for us. So there were also customers of the same dev shop, and they actually caught wind of the product before it was ready to be, publicly available, generally available. And so they started using it. And as they used it, they introduced other people to it, and those people kept, and then the cycle kind of repeated itself. So some of the signals that I saw very early on was that in spite of everything that was suboptimal, right? We weren't marketing the product. The product was very, the feature set was very basic initially, and also people had a lot of they had a lot of feedback about the things they would love to see the product do. But in spite of all of those things, people were finding the product, they were getting value out of it, and they continue to use it. And so to me, it became very, very clear. And also seeing the versatility of the product, right? So it started in a specific industry, but very quickly it kind of like spread to many other industries. It spread to many people in all the different roles. So a combination of just watching the patterns around how it spread, and all the things and the fact that it was growing in spite of everything that like on the surface was suboptimal. That really gave me the confidence that we had a great product, and yeah.
I'm a huge believer in founders who've experienced the pain personally. really believe that that creates a vision for the product that you cannot earn in any other way. But there are a lot of people who say, oh, you don't have to actually have experience of the pain, just have passion for the problem. What do you think about that based on your own journey?
Yeah, I think there are different types of entrepreneurs out there, right? And I think you have to be true. You have to be true to like the type of entrepreneur you are. I'm the kind of entrepreneur that Calendly wasn't a novel idea, right? There were scheduling products on the market. What I think Calendly did was take an existing idea that was on the market, made it better, right? So, built it in a way in which it appealed to a broader audience. And maybe, anyway, so I think Calendly got all of those things right, but Calendly did not create a new category until itself. It just really latched onto to an existing category. I feel very confident that I'm that kind of entrepreneur. Like my own life experiences have taught me that I know how to spot, things that have been validated by other people and just make them better. Like I feel really confident in that. In terms of creating a brand new category, I think I have some instincts there, but it hasn't really been proven yet. So I think people really just have to ask themselves, like, what kind of entrepreneur am I? Do I have a track record of creating, or do I feel like I have the instincts to create a net new category, solve a problem in a completely different way than anyone has solved it? Or am I really the person who takes something that's validated and makes it much bigger, right? I think both can work. I think you just have to be true to yourself. And sorry, one last thing I'll say is that I do think that instincts are incredibly important in guiding you towards the path.
Is that another way of saying bet on yourself?
Yes, but don't bet on yourself just because you believe in yourself. I think you should ask yourself, truly ask yourself, what earns me the right to solve this problem? Like, what do I know? Do I truly know something that most people don't know?
Yeah. One of the things that I hear several times a day as Valor gets pitched is, I have a brilliant idea and I've earned the right to have a brilliant perspective, but I need an investor to allow me the opportunity by funding me so that I can go on that journey. What's your experience with that? Do you think that's a good way to go? I know you had a different path, but you may have reconsidered and thought, no, that would have been a better way to go. How do you feel about that situation for founders?
So the situation being, how much do you prove the idea and then bring in an investor to scale it, or do you? I guess it's a question about bringing in investors to scale the idea, or raising money or not.
Yeah, I would say that, one of the most typical pitches you get as an early stage investor like Valor is I have a brilliant idea, and they do, generally speaking. There are a lot of brilliant ideas out there. I have incredible experience, and generally they have pretty good experience. I can't afford to start it, so I'm raising money to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's easier. It's easy for me to say this because I was able to prove my idea, and then get funding to grow the idea and scale the idea. But I subscribe to that approach, and the reason I do is just for a couple of reasons. Um, I think there's so many investors get pitched all the time, right? And so they need they need a filter to really figure out like where are they going to really put their dollars to work. And if you just look at it from the vantage point of the investor, they want to invest in the opportunities that have the most upside, while at the same time being de-risked as much as possible, right? And so any kind of idea has all kinds of has all to de-risk just makes you that much more attractive in the eyes of an investor. That's one thing. The other thing that's true is that even if you're going to raise money, the more progress you've made, and the stronger position you're in when you're raising money, right? You get much better control terms, much better economic terms. You can you can be really selective about who you choose to partner with, and so if you take the approach that fundraising is inevitable, which I think a lot of people take. I think even if you take that approach, I think it is still, I think, in a founder's best interest to delay that as much as possible to a point in which they've had something in which they've proven. Because I just think it puts them in a much stronger position for so many different reasons.
Now, for early Calendly, for the MVP, I heard that you wrote the requirements yourself. You took them to an outsourced provider. How did you learn how to write proper requirements?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I actually 6 months ago or so, I forgot about that requirements document, and that company shared it with me, and it was very enlightening. It was really touching to see it. But I guess the interesting thing was, at the time, I thought I'd written this very, very thorough requirements document. It maybe had 10% of the information that that you would probably need. It maybe held 10% of the requirements that ended up getting fleshed out over the next 6 months as we built the product. And so I don't think, to answer your question, I didn't have any kind of professional experience developing requirements documents. But what I did have was, I had a lot of professional experience selling large enterprise software applications to large companies. And what we would do, so take my time at back when I worked at EMC or IBM, you're selling these these deals that are maybe $1 million in software, but almost inevitably they almost required as much in professional services to implement the product and deploy it to the company. And so, long story short, as a part of selling enterprise software, I also learned a lot about how you capture requirements from businesses to really understand how to solve their problem, and also translate those requirements post-sale to make sure they actually got what they want. And that's really what I learned in a lot of ways, how to write requirements. So the requirements I wrote, maybe they didn't meet all the professional standards, but I did have direct experience having been a part of many large software projects in my professional career.
What's been the most fun for you about building Calendly?
Oh man, there's not enough time to list all of them. I think I'll tell you some of the most exciting ones. Some of the most exciting ones are just being, it's not often you get to build something that to be a part of building something that scratches your own itch, right? So being able to shape and influence a product that ultimately I get to also benefit from is been incredibly exciting. That's one thing. The other part is the impact that the product has had on our users. Fast forward to now, hundreds of millions of people have experienced Calendly, and it's very difficult for me actually to wear a Calendly T-shirt and not and I get stopped and asked if we what my affiliation is with the. Every time I wear the shirt, a conversation happens, and it's getting to the point where there are fewer people who've never experienced Calendly in some way. I think the last time I saw you, I ran into you at the donut shop. Well, one of the other times I was at that donut shop, I had a Calendly shirt on, and this guy, who was a Calendly user, started asking me questions. So just to see the impact of what we've built and how it's helping people acquire customers, retain customers, grow their businesses, be successful in their role. That is a huge. I'm just honored to be a part of that. So that's two. The third part is just really the Calendly story. It's the Calendly story itself and how it resonates with a lot of underrepresented founders, right? So as Calendly has grown, as the Calendly story has been told, what I found is a lot of underrepresented founders just reach out to me and say, your story has been really inspiring. It's really made entrepreneurship attainable to me. And so that part, I didn't anticipate that when I started Calendly, but that's actually been that's one of the most exciting things that's really happened, is to see how the work is just impacting the work that I do, and the work that we do is impacting so many people in so many different and so many positive ways, and that's incredibly motivating.
Yeah, I bet it is. So I know in the beginning, like every software founder, I'm sure you had not only the viral growth, but some
Yeah,
users shared negative feedback
yeah.
because, they had a vision too. And they really, some of your best users actually give negative feedback, I think. But how did you learn how to manage the disconnect between baby product back when it was very new and negative feedback, which is just a part of the journey?
Yeah, a couple of different ways. One is that I think understanding, like this is just like simple statistics, but really like making sure that you actually have a representative sample, right? So on any given day, right, um, anybody can feel a certain way about a product or a certain feature. But the question you have to ask yourself is that, what percentage of your audience truly feels this way? Is this something, and how does it like, is it something that a lot of people feel, one, and also of all the different things you can do to make the product um, better for them, what is the relative priority of this, right? So not just like, is it true, or is it important to solve or not, but what does it rank? Like, how can you get it's always helpful to get a sense for how it's stacked in terms of the things that you could all the things you can do to move the needle for your users. And I think the third part is really having a clear sense of who you want to serve, right? So, if if a if an astronaut is trying to use Calendly to schedule, time to go to the space shuttle, and they complain about this one feature, I clearly know that's not our target audience, so it also allows me to think about it. But now, if that's somebody who spends five, who in a given week schedules five or more external meetings, well, that's our target audience, and so we're going to pay much closer attention to that person's feedback than we would somebody who's using to do something out of the you know outside of the scope that of what we're hoping to accomplish. So those are some of the things that have really helped. But I guess the final piece is that the most successful companies, and I think when I look at the best things that have happened to Calendly and have led to Calendly's growth, they've 100% come from listening to our users. Like, there's no doubt about that. And Calendly is a successful company today, and has the chance to continue to be successful because we do a really good job of listening to our users. So it definitely starts and ends with customer empathy and really understand what your customers are looking to do.
So I'm going to key off that word empathy that you used. I think you definitely have customer empathy. You've been really gracious about some of my feedback over the years too, and so is your entire team. Awesome product, my God. So here's the thing though. A lot of times a strong visionary CEO like you that really has a vision has trouble hiring a great team around them. And I think, you've had the success of hiring a great team around you. What would you share with other founders about some of the lessons learned? How do you think about picking great people?
Yeah, man, I've learned a lot. I think that one of the first things I learned is it's the most important job that you have. Simply put. And the reason is, if you're gonna, serve your users well, your customers really well, you can't do it all by yourself. One, and two, you're not always going to be in the room when important decisions about how to serve those customers are being made, right? And so the way you really make sure that not only are you like, I say that to say, like, it's not important that you just make good decisions. Your entire company needs to make really good decision. So for all those reasons, it's the most important thing. I think the second part that I've learned is it really starts again with being really, really clear about what you want out of the role, right? Is if you can't answer how you measure that person's performance in 90 days, you're not ready to hire. If you can't answer to a candidate very clearly what the vision of the company is and what the goals are the goals of the company is trying to drive in the next 6, 12 months, you're probably not ready to hire. So hiring well really starts with you having a clear idea of what you want and what success looks like. And if you can't answer that in a very objective way, you're probably not ready to hire. And 90% of when I look back at, the good hires that we've made and the bad hires that we've made over the years, it always starts with this misalignment in the beginning of the journey, right? It's just like everyone, everyone has different expectations of the role. And really making sure that that misalignment doesn't exist greatly improves the chances of success. And then the second part is, so once you have a clear idea of what you want in the role, what are the values who do you want to be as a company? What are the values you want people to demonstrate when they're in the company? What are the goals you want them to hit? Working backwards from that to really to design a process that helps you understand all those things and standardizing that process from the number of steps that are involved, from interview to offer to the questions you ask and to who participates in it. The more you can standardize that and really have a clear process and a clear understanding of what good looks like, what bad looks like, what ugly looks like, and how you're going to make a decision. I found those things to be truly helpful in making good hires. And then the last part is just you have to treat it like a product, right? Every single hire you make, every single hire you make, every single time you let somebody go, it's always good to do a retro and say what did we get right here, what did we get wrong, so that you can continue to improve your process. I guess the final thing, I'll say is that never forget that it's a two-way street when you're interviewing people. You're interviewing them because you want to bring them to the company, but they're also looking to learn about you. And the best people just have so many options. And so it's important to make sure that you create a process that actually makes people want to join your company, right? And be there indefinitely. So,
how have you learned to talk to yourself differently, potentially, through this journey from MVP to highly successful enterprise software business? Do you find that you've honed in on a certain type of relationship with yourself? Has your relationship with yourself changed at all through this journey?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. My relationship with myself has definitely changed. I think you learn different things about yourself, right? I think in this journey to go from nothing to tens of millions in revenue, and also scaling the company and bringing so many people on board, you learn so many things. You end up learning things about yourself you didn't know. Some of those things for me were, I guess maybe we don't need to get into that, but long story short, like this process has been very, very enlightening for me. And I've learned a lot of things about myself, like areas in which I need to grow and develop. Also, you also come out of it with a conviction around, these are certain things certain strengths that you have, and you should never underestimate those strengths, right? So even as you bring all kinds of people who are much smarter than you, who are subject matter experts in the different areas that you bring on board, you still have a very important role to play. You still have some strengths that you want to make sure that you're still bringing to the table, even as you begin to defer to others on the team. So those are some of the things that I've found is, really doubling down on truly understanding what my strengths are and doubling down on them, and figuring out where those weaknesses are and working on those.
Yeah, that constant self-discovery is one of the most interesting parts, I think, of the founder journey. I know for a lot of our founders, not all and not at all times, but not only do we want to be those resources, but we encourage them to find out where those resources are for them, to give them those mirrors and reflections so that they can continue to grow as they lead their company, because the company is following that growth path in so many ways, intellectually, emotionally, on a team spirit level, leadership level. It's an amazing thing. I think companies are like a jewel, but the light that sets them off is the founder's fire, and got to keep it shining. So it's interesting. It's quite a crucible. And I think you're one of those amazing lights in Atlanta. So I really am glad to know you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what have I not asked that founders ask you all the time, and we could capture here and share with the finalists, just kind of as a final question? What do you think that you wish founders, or you wish you had known when you embarked on this incredible adventure?
Wow. Lots of different things. I think one of the, I'll just rattle a few that kind of come to mind. I think it's really one is I wish I would have thought more of if I would have thought about the company's growth more in stages and phases, right? So really figuring out like, what is this current stage that we're in, and what are the things that are important to be good at this stage, to be bad at this stage, and what are the important investments to make, or things to put in place for the next stage. That's one. Getting the right advisors, right? I wish I would have invested more into, I was lucky to be at the Atlanta Tech Village, where there were a lot of other entrepreneurs around. And so, it created an informal environment for me to learn from many different peers. As we moved out of the tech village, I wish I would have been more deliberate about seeking out other advisors. So that's one of the things I wish I would have done differently. Going back to hiring and people, I mean, could not emphasize the importance of that. I wish, so for us, we about 3 years ago or so, we defined our values, right? So I wish I would have done that sooner, right? Because it just became, again, ended up becoming really important to make, decisions around who you want to add to the team, and also, how do you promote people? How do you reward people? How do you give them feedback? Just being really clear about your, getting really, really good at planning, right? So again, 7 years in, it's something that we've learned to be really good at. But every company can get really good at this. Like, so from your strategy, from your strategic planning, like what's your strategy and what's your operational plan? What do you want to actually do in this fiscal year or whatever period in which you're planning for? But just getting really good at that, at the vision, the mission, the strategy, and then the planning. Those things I wish I would have done. I wish I would have learned more about those even much earlier on, and I wish I would have surrounded myself with people who were doing some of those things. Those are some of the things that really come to mind. And I guess the final thing is that one of the values we have at Calendly is start with human. So that means treating ourselves, being tolerant of others. It also means understanding that any decision you make, whether it's a product, whether it's about a feature and how it works, or whether you build it or not build it, or a pricing change, whatever it may be, or even a policy around how you the support policy, or like the different support channels you offer, whether you offer email, chat, and who's eligible for it or not. All those decisions impact a human being on the other end, right? And so it's always really good to make sure that we're not blind to the consequences of our decisions and how they impact actual human beings. So just really putting that front and center and in all decisions, right? So your customers, your employees, your team. Important to never lose sight of the human aspect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your time today with Startup Runway. It means a lot. I really appreciate it.